Here I am going to tell you a very important topic that is for the beginners struggling in writing formulas. First of all, you need to understand the method and then practice a lot. Writing formula in chemistry is very important because it is the basic. Here I will give you the list of ions which you have to learn to write correct formulas and then practice the method which I am going to tell you right now in order to write down the correct formulas. Now here, first of all, I will start off with chemical formula of ionic compounds. A compound made from two elements has a name ending in IDE, that is ide. For example, sodium chloride, it is made up of sodium and chlorine. Zinc oxide, made up of zinc and oxygen. Carbon dioxide, made up of carbon and oxygen. A compound that contains hydroxide ion is named as hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide. Compounds which contain negatively charged polyatomic ions. Polyatomic means more than two atoms. Having oxygen ends in ate or ite. Now 8 which will have more oxygens, for example sodium sulfate, you can see 4 atoms of oxygen. Then ite, for example, it has less oxygen. For example, sodium sulfite, you can see oxygen, there are 3 atoms of oxygen. Now we come to the general rules for writing the formula. Now remember, all these are for ionic compounds, not for covalent compounds. As you know that ionic compounds are made up of metals, metal ions and non-metal ions. So the metallic element symbol is written first, that is on the left hand side, and non-metallic element symbol is written after the metallic element, that is on the right hand side. For example, calcium oxide, calcium is the metal and oxygen is the non-metal. Sodium chloride, sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. Number of atoms is written as a subscript on the right side of atom symbol. Now here magnesium carbonate. So oxygen has 3 atoms over here. It is so we write 3 as a subscript. Some people don't forget this and they write on the top. It is not correct. Magnesium atom is 1, carbon is 1, so there is no need to write 1. If a compound contains a polyatomic ion, the formulas of the ion is placed within brackets. Copper 2 hydroxide. So we have hydroxide over here 2. So we are going to put hydroxide in brackets and then write 2 under as a subscript. Ammonium sulfate. So we have 2 ammonium ions. Therefore we write ammonium in a bracket and then we write 2 as a subscript. Now we come to the determination of the chemical formula of ionic compound. Here we'll study how we are going to determine the ionic formula of the ionic compound. Now here one thing we must remember, that ionic compounds are made up of positive and negative charges. But as a whole the ionic compound is neutral, so positive and negative charges must be equal. We should balance the charges by simply multiplying the ions with suitable digit. Now the example over here is, for example, we have X a metal and Y a non-metal. X will have M positive charge and Y will have N negative. M and N are just the number of the charges. So we are going to cross multiply. N we are going to bring it under X and M we are going to bring it under Y. And then we are going to write down Xn and Ym. Again, remember that N and M are the numbers. Now we come to the examples. As you can see, aluminium has 3 positive, oxygen has 2 negative. So we'll bring these charges down, 2 negative on the left side and 3 positive on the right side. And then under aluminium as a subscript we write 2, and under oxygen on the right hand side we write 3. And remember, now we are not going to write the charges over here. So our formula becomes Al₂ and O3. Under this I have another example, ammonium ion and sulfate ion. Ammonium, you can see, have 1 positive, sulfate has 2 negative. Again in the same manner, we'll cross multiply, we'll bring 2 under ammonium and sulfate positive under sulfate. So the formula becomes ammonium sulfate. As ammonium is a polyatomic ion, so we'll put it in a bracket and write the subscript outside. Calcium phosphate. Calcium has 2 positive, phosphate has 3 negative. In the same manner, as I have drawn the arrows, 3 negative, 3 will come under calcium and 2 will come under phosphate. So phosphate is again a polyatomic ion. So we put it in a bracket and write 2 as a subscript on the right side under it. Now another example of magnesium oxide. Now it is made up of, you can see their charges are 2 for both. So we will simply write magnesium oxide as the charges are 1:1 ratio. Now we come to calcium carbonate. Again it has the same valencies. Valencies, remember, are the combining power. So it has same charges, calcium and carbonate. So we write 1 atom of calcium, and carbonate we do not have to write 2 on both sides. Now we have aluminium nitrate. Aluminium has 3 positive, nitrate has 1 negative. So we'll bring the charges down and we write 1 and we do not have to write 1 under aluminium or 3. We have to write nitrate again into a bracket and 3 as a subscript. Now I will give you the list of positively charged ions and negatively charged ions. You must practice them, remember their charges, learn their names, and then practice out. You can pick any positively charged ion and you can pick any negatively charged ion and try to make its formula. Now there are certain elements in front where I have written copper 1, copper 2, mercury 2, iron 2, iron 3. Now these are the elements which have their combining powers are different. They have different valencies. That is, iron can have positive 2 and positive 3. Copper can have positive 1, positive 2. So in order to write down their formula, we write in Roman letter 1 or 2. For example, copper 2 oxide, iron 2 oxide, iron 3 oxide as their names.